Hey, listen, I'm going to show you a lot of stuff today, and I apologize. We are not going to go that deep into any of this, but I just thought it might be fun to browse through a bit. There's one particular tool that I'm going to show you in the end that we're going to spend a little bit more time, but other than that, just a brief walkthrough. I love to shoot square format. That's by far my favorite aspect ratio. I find it extremely liberating because it doesn't predetermine the direction or any sort of like pressure points for my pictures. And then I just find it very natural to me. Maybe it's because I've shot it quite a bit and most of my cameras shoot medium format square, so it has become my favorite by far. But now every now and then I want to go to another extreme and shoot panoramic pictures. To me, there are two challenges in panoramic pictures. One is that of the composition. In a panorama picture, and in all my images, I find the most important thing to remove stuff, so that there are no distractions. There's nothing in the picture but those things that should be there. And when you compose a panoramic picture, there's, it's a wide picture, so it's easy to get something distracting, especially into corners of your picture. So that makes it a bit challenging for me. How do you get rid of stuff you don't want to put in your panorama? The other challenge is that how are you going to show your pictures to others? If you look at my panoramic pictures on a phone, they get tiny. And the same happens also on a computer screen. And then printing the panoramic pictures is also a bit challenging because they easily get small. I mean, the paper is small and then you have a small strip of the stuff. But regardless of those challenges, I shoot panoramic pictures. So it's probably my second favorite aspect ratio after square. Now you can use any camera to shoot panoramic pictures if you crop your picture in post. So you just take any picture and then in your Lightroom you just get rid of the upper and lower parts and there you have a panoramic picture. I don't want to do that though. In my work I like to set my gear so that when I go to the location I have the least amount of options at my disposal. You may be totally different. You want to have all the possibilities, but I want to limit myself. It makes my photos better when I choose the camera, choose the film and developer and the aspect ratio before I go to the location. And then I look at my surroundings, keeping those limitations in my mind, instead of wandering there with all the possibilities. I mean, it's too overwhelming for me. So I don't do cropping. I set my gear so that when I go to the location, I already know that I'm going to take panoramic pictures. Now, I don't have an X-Pan. Let's get that off the table first. That's the iconic panoramic Hasselblad camera, but I'm not that rich. So I need to get by with much cheaper options. So here are a couple of things, couple of tools that I use to take panoramic pictures. First of all, almost any medium format camera can shoot 35mm film. I use my Moskva quite a bit. It's normally 6x9 medium format, but I can put 35mm film in it using two main methods. One are these little adapters to the end of the film roll that you can print or buy from eBay or whatever sources, and then you can just use the regular 35mm film. You must remember then to block the red window because it lets light in, and because there's no packing paper you get your film exposed. And then you need to know how much advance your film, because you know, there's no way of seeing any numbers if you get that kind of a camera. So that's why I typically, when I use 35mm with my medium format cameras, I use packing paper. I take a packing paper from an old film and I wrap my film inside of this packing paper around a regular medium format spool. And then I can use the window, and then the film is at the right distance from the lens and all that. So that's the way I use my medium format cameras, and I take pictures like this. Then I also take panoramic pictures with my Graflexes, and here I use a roll film bag that can be attached to the end of the Graflex. And with this combination I can take 6 by 12 centimeter pictures on a medium format film, and I get images like this. But then, since this is a medium format bag, I can also use the same trick I use with my Moskva and put the 35mm film inside of the roll film bag, typically wrapped within the packing paper, and then I get really wild pictures, and they look like this. Now the same thing can be done with a pinhole camera, as the roll film bag, you know, can be attached to a pinhole camera, and then you can take panoramic pinhole pictures, and they look like this. And then, of course, I love my Holga panorama camera. This is a cheap way to get into panorama medium format images, and it's about 13 centimeters wide and 6 centimeters high, the images I get with this. Now this comes with the typical Holga limitations. The lens is soft and it has a huge amount of vignetting, but you know, I just like it, and I take pictures like this. Now, then there's a set of special panoramic cameras, you know, that have a rotating turret. The lens is inside of a mechanism that when you take the picture, it sort of turns and it exposes the film in a turning motion. And this is an FT2, a Soviet-made, one of the first panoramic cameras from the Eastern Bloc. I think this is from the late 50s, and it takes pictures like this. Now this FT2 Industar, this uses just regular 35mm film, but you need to spool it to the special, you know, containers inside of this camera. So if you ever want to buy this camera, FT2 Industar, make sure that you have those cartridges, 2 of them inside of this camera. If you don't, this is useless. Then another similar type of thing is a little bit newer construction, Horizon, that has the similar kind of rotating turret, that when you take a picture it rotates, and with this you can take pictures like Now the challenge with both of these cameras is uneven rotation of the turret. It's a very common problem, and then you start to have, you know, vertical lines in your pictures. And it's not trivial to fix, so I mean, the more complicated the camera, the more you have issues. Hey, but then something I bought last week, which is an ultimate panoramic camera. And it's dirt cheap, it's less than 50 euros. It's a Lomo Spinner 360. And it takes 360-degree images on a regular 35mm film. If it's only about 8 images on one single roll, and it works like this. You pull this string and then you let it go and the head spins and take a picture. It feels surprisingly sturdy. There are only a few settings, sunlight and cloud, and that's pretty much it. It's really hard not to get yourself into the picture. I didn't even try. I mean, each and every picture I've taken so far, I've only taken, you know, 2 rolls of film because I just got it yesterday. So, and I went out, you know, to the city and wanted to test it. And these are the kind of pictures this one takes. It's a bit overwhelming to have yourself in each and every picture you take, so this is definitely not a camera that I'm going to use that often. Also, the 2 problems with the panoramic pictures, the composing what's in the picture and then showing these pictures, it's sort of amplified with this camera. The composing, like how often you have an environment where everything around you, 360, is worth photographing. So only a few places came to my mind in our hometown that might suit for that. So I need to be thinking about a little bit more about that. And then of course showing these pictures, as they are pretty wide, it's kind of complicated. So that's why I tried these 3 stripes side by side. Maybe that's a good idea, I don't know. But it sure looks awesome, and when you take pictures with this, somebody's gonna ask you, what on earth are you doing? Hey, thanks for watching my gear-focused panorama picture episode. Next time, something else.